Let's come back to here in West Africa. The Ghanaian president, John Mahama, says he's personally impacted when cocoa prices fall as he declares that he owns 50 acres of cocoa farm in the West African country. Now, Ghana, the world's second largest cocoa exporter, is looking at a new $600 million investment that will help diversify its economy or exports from gold and cocoa into cashew, oil palm, shea butter, mango, and coconut. Now we'll take access from the ongoing 2026 Three Crops Investment Summit holding in Accra.
We live in a dangerous sub-region, and a recent incident has shown what the threat of instability and insecurity is to our regional integration and trade. As has been the tradition over decades, we trade amongst ourselves. And so agricultural products from Ghana are traded into Burkina Faso, and agricultural products from Burkina Faso, Niger, onions, tomatoes are traded into Ghana. Recently, some traders from Ghana went to Burkina Faso to buy tomatoes, and they were ambushed in a village where they were transacting, and armed insurgents, terrorist armed groups attacked, and unfortunately we lost a number of our compatriots. Happily, there are a few survivors, and so the Ghana army is arranging to medevac them from Burkina Faso so that those who are injured can continue to receive treatment here in Ghana. And so on behalf of government and people, we express our condolences to the families of those who were either killed or have been injured. Agriculture is one of the most important contributors to our GDP, and it is a business that has long been looked down upon. I have two experiences. One, the son of a farmer. My father was at one time the biggest commercial rice farmer in Ghana, and so I grew up on the farm. And so for me, agriculture is a passion, it's a hobby, and I just love to see crops grow. Aside from that, my second experience is I've traveled far and wide, and sometimes I visit a country, and my colleague president invites me to visit his farm. And I've been impressed with what they do. I mean, public servants, ministers, every weekend, if you go to East Africa and other places, you better not make an appointment with a public servant on a weekend because you won't get him. On Friday, they leave to their farm, they come back on Monday and go to work. And so what Andy was saying, it's in line. Public officers, ministers, MPs, traditional rulers especially, because they are the custodians of the land. One of the major hindrances to tree crop development is access to land. And so traditional rulers especially, should take an interest in this initiative of promoting tree crops. So in whatever geographical area of the country you are, if it's in the north, a shea nut plantation, if it's in Brongahafu area, a cashew, if you're in Western region, rubber, cocoa, and if you're in Dodoa area and other places, mango. And so all of us must take an interest in the agricultural sector, and especially in tree crops. I want to thank Nana Kwebwe-Usi. Andy referred to my own tree crop farm. Nana Kwebwe-Usi gave me 50 acres of land, and I planted cocoa on the 50 acres. So I'm a cocoa farmer. And so when the price was reduced by government, it affects me too. I want to be able to empathize with farmers so that when we take any policy decision, we know that it has an effect on farmers and we feel it ourselves. If there's no fertilizer, if the price is expensive, I feel it myself because I also buy fertilizer. I recently acquired another 100 acres of land, and this time I've dedicated it to oil palm. And so we've planted the oil palm, we're putting in the irrigation system, and so I'm endorsing Andy's suggestion. When I'm going to do a reshuffle, the mitigating factor will be that you must have a farm. So public servants, ministers, priests, clergymen, traditional rulers, everybody, try and do some agriculture. Just next door in Cote d'Ivoire, almost every public servant, has a farm. And so let's take agriculture seriously. We must walk the talk. We must lead by example. We can't just always talk and say people should go back to the land when you yourself are not going back to the land. Recently, we've had a crisis with cocoa. It hasn't affected only Ghana. It's affected all cocoa-producing countries. And it shows how unstable raw material exports are if you don't process and add value. And that means that we must take advantage of this crisis to make a pivotal change in how we handle our raw exports. And we've exported raw beans since Gordon Gaggisberg's time. For those of you who don't know Gordon Gaggisberg, he was one of the colonial governors. And Ghana, at that time, was the leading exporter of cocoa. And to think that in the 21st century, we are still the largest leading exporter of raw cocoa beans, that is not an accolade we should take pride in. We should take pride in being the leading exporter of manufactured cocoa products. And so this crisis must mark a turning point in our cocoa industry. As I explained when I spoke in Addis, we collateralize the beans and they give us money to buy the cocoa and export. So because of that, we cannot even allocate enough of the beans to our local processors. And that's why government took the decision that we should change the funding cycle of cocoa by raising the money locally in CDs, paying the farmers, and then allocating a certain portion of the cocoa beans to our processing capacity, and even increase the capacity to process locally so that we can create jobs within our value system and also stabilize the price of the cocoa that we produce. So without much ado, as Jerry, the MC, said, I'll acknowledge the representative of Otumfo, our traditional leaders, our ministers of state, our international partners, and just say distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is a privilege to join you at this inaugural Ghana Tree Crops Investment Summit. Let me start. This summit is not merely ceremonial, it is strategic. It reflects a central commitment of the NDC's 2024 manifesto, which is to reset Ghana's economy by strengthening productive sectors, expanding exports, creating decent jobs, and positioning agriculture as a driver of industrial transformation. There's an Akam proverb that says, "Ofro duapa ni pion." When you climb a good tree, that is when you are supported. Today, I must say, Ghana is climbing a good tree, the tree crop sector. And so we invite all Ghanaians, our investment partners, our diplomatic partners, to climb this tree with us. For decades, agriculture has contributed about 21% to our GDP. And cocoa has been our pride, earning roughly $2 billion annually and supporting millions of livelihoods. The 2024 manifesto says clearly that Ghana must move from dependence to diversification. Climate shocks, global price volatility, and environmental stress demand that we broaden our agricultural base. Economic resilience requires reducing our over-reliance on single commodity exports. And this is why tree crops are central to our agriculture for economic transformation agenda as set out in our 2024 manifesto. Beyond cocoa, our 6 priority crops, cashew, coconut, oil palm, rubber, mango, and shea, form the backbone of this diversification strategy. Together, These crops employ over 1.6 million Ghanaians and support strong rural economies that promote gender inclusion, contribute 2% of our GDP and 4.5% of agricultural GDP.